In this week's episode, the last research chimps in the US are retired to sanctuaries, a toxic wave of mud threatens aquatic life in Brazil, tragic news for the northern white rhino species, and a rare pink fairy armadillo sighting. Starting off with some good news from the States. The National Institute of Health has ended the government's use of chimpanzees for animal testing. The NHI started phasing out the use of research chimps in 2013, and the 50 remaining chimps will live out the rest of their days at a sanctuary in Louisiana. Off to China, where officials have confiscated over 100 kilograms of ivory. The huge haul of tusks, thought to be the largest confiscation this year, were hidden in a container under piles of timber. This comes after a landmark agreement between the US and China to enact an almost complete ban on the import and export of ivory. And tragic news coming out of San Diego Zoo with the death of Nola, one of the 4 remaining northern white rhinos left on Earth. Nola had been under veterinary care for a bacterial infection, but her condition worsened and she was euthanized. Northern white rhino populations have been decimated by poaching, and test tube breeding might be the only hope left for the survival of the species. On to Brazil, where toxic mud traveling down the Rio Doce River has reached the Atlantic Ocean, leaving a wave of destruction in its wake. The contaminated mud was released after 2 dams at a mine thought to contain mercury and arsenic collapsed. Biologists are rushing to rescue aquatic wildlife affected by this disaster, but experts have warned that the ecological harm could last a generation. And here's a win for wildlife with this conservation success story. With only 50 breeding pairs left at the end of the 20th century, the northern bald ibis was at a high risk of extinction, but thanks to the work of numerous organizations, this species has been saved. The latest population count reports almost 600 birds, the most recorded in 25 years. Speaking of birds, a study of African gray populations in Ghana reveals that the species is almost eradicated there. Parrot numbers have plummeted by almost 99% since the last survey conducted in 1992. The pet trade and deforestation are thought to be to blame for this dramatic decline. And onto the shark feeding frenzy. Filmed mere feet from a beach in Florida, this extraordinary clip captures hundreds of sharks feasting on bait. The spectacle lasted for over an hour. Staying in the ocean with this innovative way to collect health data on whales. SNOT collecting robots. A recent collaboration between drone maker Unique and the Ocean Alliance means new, reliable drones for this valuable conservation work. And wrapping up with this amazing sighting, a tiny pink fairy armadillo furiously digging in the sand in Argentina. Very little is known about this strange creature, and they are rarely seen as they spend almost their entire lives underground. That's it for this week, but stay up to date with all of our wildlife videos by subscribing to our channel. And if there's a story you'd like to see featured in next week's roundup, be sure to let us know in the comments below.